Okay. So I'm going to just hit pause right here. I'll come in and start it.
Council Finance Committee to order. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm calling this workshop to order. Present are myself, Councilor Ingalls, member of the Finance Committee, as well as Councilor McGrattan, the Mayor, Roxanne Marr, Jim Mann, Ian Stammel, Steve Holyfield, and that's all I have. Can somebody add to that list if anybody else is in attendance?
Marcia's on.
Okay. How about Linda?
I don't see. I can't see who else is online.
I don't see Linda.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to it if I ever get my connection. So let's get started.
Hillary Evans is on right now.
Hillary Evans, thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else?
No.
No? Okay. So we are going to start in with the Fire Marshal Jim Mann, who is present with us. And we have, I believe you guys are showing ClearGov so we can see the Fire Marshal's budget. It's a very simple and easy budget. I have a couple of questions. The first one is, Jim, on telephone and fax service. We are presently at about half of the year's budget spent at $3,000, but we've increased the budget to $3,500. I was just curious about what's driving that.
Just cost increase. I think I'm going to run out. So I went up a little bit on it. I've eliminated everything I can. I'm down to 1 fax machine versus 4, but we're going to go over this year, so I upped it a little bit.
All right. Well, you must have gotten some more invoices in. I'm showing as of 12/31, we're at 44%, so right about half.
So I'm at 75.6% right now.
Okay, so you're a little bit ahead now. Okay, thank you. Operating expenses are at 16%, and we budgeted 7,500. I'm wondering what, and also an increase of 8,000. So I'm curious about that.
I only upped at 500 over what I did last year, and that's because I got to buy some batteries and whatnot for the ESD. Some of this, I know I'm low. I've been sort of sitting on, because I didn't know what costs were going to be this year. I didn't know where we were going with the whole COVID thing, but I will lead up a good part of it. Yeah, so I've been sitting on it.
Okay. Last question is about training, meeting dues, subscriptions. That has historically been, it runs about 15 to 16,000. In F20, I'm sorry, 15 to 1,600. In F20, we budgeted, that's a lot of training. So we budgeted 2,000 in fiscal 20, and we're upping that to 2,400, but only 9% of it is spent year to date as of 12/31.
I didn't pay my what happened? NFPA, we were always doing hard copy, like a lot of us, because it's easier when you're doing code research. Well, they stopped doing hard copy now, and it's all going online, so the cost went up, of course. So, yeah.
And that's annual.
That's annual.
So,
It's horrible. And training, so far the town hasn't paid a penny for any of my training. I've managed to mooch that for free, but it's all for NFPA stuff.
Wow.
I mean, that's code books and NFPA codes.
Yep. Okay.
I'll get that bill here shortly, and that will take care of that line item, believe me.
I imagine so. Okay, that's all I had, Tim. Andra, do you have any questions?
No. This is a really small, it's a short budget, like you said, so I think you covered it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I mean,
Jim, if you,
I like not to spend, but unfortunately, like I said, I'm sitting on some money right now just because I don't know where we're going. But what I can get back, I'll get back to you.
Okay. I know you are. We appreciate that. If you had to cut anything out of this budget, what would you cut? How much? How much would you reduce it?
If I had to whack something, I would
Yep.
go to telephone, because I could always transfer from operating.
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
that's what I've done the last years, so it's not too big a deal.
We are hoping to cut fax service even further. Regina is looking into e-fax services, and that would be a significant reduction in town-wide.
Right.
So, okay. Other counselors, people in the room, questions? Okay. Well, thank you, Jim. We appreciate what you do. Let's move on to Mr. Holyfield.
I have a question, Bill. This is Marcia.
Oh, go ahead, Marcia.
Did you want to ask Jim about his capital?
I did. Thank you for reminding me. Absolutely.
Just sitting.
Let me jump to that.
Oh, thank you, Martha.
So you probably, like, somebody probably interrupted you and you re-entered it. So I've got two of them that are just kind of sitting, they're not doing anything. Now I submitted the refill. So
Marcia, I'm looking. I don't see any line items for Jim.
Oh, I thought he
okay.
had
So
one
we
for
already-
vehicle, for a vehicle
I'm just
replacement.
gonna- This is 64634, and the next
Uh,
one is sequentially after that.
But I might be wrong.
Got interrupted and re-entered. Yes. Yeah.
I see fire chief vehicle.
They're not here right now.
I don't see fire
You
marshal.
don't,
What's that?
you don't have anything to-
Yeah, I picked, the same amount I put in last year. Marcia said she was gonna get it in there.
Oh, Marcia didn't do that.
That's why Bill doesn't see it.
Okay, well,
It was,
So that's the same amount as last year for vehicle replacement?
it was like $2,000 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was $2,000. Just that way if the truck 10 years from now needs to be replaced, we have money in place and we're not whacking out $30,000 or $50,000 at once.
Right.
I will add that today, Bill.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Marcia. Okay, we ready for Mr. Holyfield?
Emergency management's first, isn't it?
Oh, that's you, Jim, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's me. I
Yeah.
did no increases. Everything's pretty much the same.
Let me get to it. Bear with me.
It's on the same
Oh, there
one.
was a $350 increase.
I show 400 increase in operating.
Let me do my
Yeah.
math. Oh, yeah, it's, sorry. Glasses
Yep.
keep fogging up. I'm looking at.
We're gonna keep hearing one.
Oh, God. And the reason that's low, we did no drills this year, we didn't do anything. But I'll eat some of this up because all the batteries and all the UPSs need to be replaced and a few other items. Plus, we have a drill coming up in May and June. So that's gonna take a whack.
Well, at least we'll return this year's money, right?
Well, we get a good hunk of that back from the state, so it's not too bad.
Of what, the batteries and, or the drills?
Well, through my EMPG, I can claim some of that money and get money back from the state.
In the coming year's budget?
Yes,
Okay.
every year.
Comes in through
All right.
capital.
Do you know? Okay.
What's that?
It comes in through capital, not the general fund.
Okay, you know what, Martha, I actually do see In the Excel sheet, I do see the emergency management does show a $350 increase, but in the ClearGov it shows 4.
Yeah, it was 4.
In the Excel, it looks like 2021 adopted is at $20,050.
What is that?
2450.
Under what?
I'm not-
Are you talking about SIP?
Nope. I'm in the mayor's budget in the Excel sheet, line 278.
Okay.
Yeah, don't you show 20,450?
Yep, for 2022, but then in ClearGov, wait a second.
In ClearGov, it shows 2450 also.
Has 48.
Wait a minute, where am I?
I have 2450.
So FY
20,450, right?
Yeah.
All right, my mistake, I got my wires crossed on something.
It's all right. We'll get an electrician in.
Okay. So Jim, I think we're ready. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Stevie, are you still with us?
Yep.
Holyfield? Okay.
Yep, he's there.
Hmm?
Maybe come up that far.
I'm here, Bill.
All right, Steve, thank you. So I always get confused between Jim and Steve and emergency management and emergency services. So are we looking at emergency
I'm
management now?
glad I'm not. We are admin emergency service.
Admin, okay, let me find that.
It's right under the fire marshal.
All the, environment under the public safety employees,
Yes.
to say the number.
Yeah, last year was the first year. It used to be somewhere in Ledyard, somewhere in Gilsbury, and Marcia actually, at her suggestion, put everybody into the AES budget.
Well, it was talked
Keep it in
about
one
that.
spot.
It used to be, we had 2 guys there, and then one guy was kind of a floater.
Yeah,
And I guess now it's a full rotation
sometimes.
sometimes, so we just decided to have it all.
Yeah.
So that way there was no confusion and allocation that
Yeah.
person A is supposed to be at Ledyard, but they're really at Gales Ferry today or something like that.
Yeah,
So that's why we ended up doing that.
it makes a lot of sense to put it in one account. And
Yeah.
salary is salary, and
Yeah.
So the only question I had was on operating expenses, Steve. Year to date, as of the end of December, was at 22%, and we budgeted 1350. So I'm wondering if that's
we've spent.
an accurate number. Typically, it runs about that amount. So
Could we just
There's
get
a
a
lot
quick
more encumbered than is
number crunch on that?
currently spent.
I'm sorry, you got
I
that on there.
Yeah, there's
Could
a
we just
lot
get
more
a
encumbered.
quick number crunch?
That sounds like somebody's in our meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can take a look here.
Hey, can we get a quick number crunch? Number crunch?
Oh, we have, is that Robert McClure?
No, it's
Yeah,
Gareth
the mic-
Bale.
their mic-
Gareth Bale.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Gareth Bale.
World famous footballer.
Hey, Gareth here. Can we just get a quick number crunch there?
So we're seeing somebody in the meeting with a moniker of Bug 10. Could you let us know who you are?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the number.
Your
The number
voice is
crunch?
being distorted.
Yeah, we need a number crunch real quick there. Have you guys got a number crunch
A
there?
number?
I think you're in the wrong meeting.
That might,
Yeah, I
No,
think
no,
you're in
this
the
is
wrong
the
meeting,
town of
gentlemen.
Ledyard.
Yeah,
I'm
the
the
lady of
accountant.
number crunch.
I'm the accountant, and I was told to join the meeting to observe the number crunch.
You're from
Yeah,
PwC.
What accountant is this? Please
PwC.
identify
Um,
yourself.
PwC, Pricewaterhouse.
And you're supposed to be auditing the town of Ledyard, is that correct?
Yes, it's a
Yes.
random audit.
No, we don't do random audits with Pricewaterhouse. Please disconnect.
Well, yes, you do.
This sounds very much like a fraud. Please disconnect yourself.
This is not a fraud.
Oh, fraud, idiot. This is
All right, name
Pricewaterhouse
some of the
Group.
people in the town of, name some people of the town of Ledyard, right now.
Jeff,
That's complete.
what do you
I
mean
can't
name
hear.
some people? What kind of
That's a
stupid
complete load of
question?
bollocks. What are you talking about?
Name some people. All right. Well, you got Roxanne, you got Bill, and you got Marcia. Was it Marsha?
Yeah, Marcia, is Roxanne still in the room?
Yes.
Yep.
yeah,
Trying to delete them.
Disconnect these guys. You can
No,
remove them from
this
the
is this is the accountant. We need to be here.
No, you're
We're
not.
doing the
No,
audit.
you're full
We
of
need to
shit.
audit-
Cut it out.
No, we're the
That's the
accountants.
Oh,
Yo, we're
That's
the
the
accountants.
bullshit.
Yo.
Great behavior.
get
We
him
need to
out
get
of here.
We
Get 'em outta
need
here.
a number crunch real quick, and you guys better get me that number crunch, all right? Because I'm waiting, and I've been waiting for a long time for this number crunch.
Yeah, number crunch doesn't even make sense. Just
No,
get-
it does.
Can somebody work down disconnecting these
Get him
guys?
out of
That's
here.
right, Bill.
Get man.
I thought he was Simon. I threw off
Bug
Simon.
10.
Oh, I threw off Simon. That's what I threw
That's
off.
all right. They're
Just
probably
kick
all
him.
in.
Just get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get that number crunch in here and get him out of here. But get that number crunch. That's the main thing. The main thing is the number crunch.
We
Yeah,
gotta
I
get a
had
number
thought
crunch.
about number crunch.
We gotta get that number crunch, guys. It is so important to get that number crunch.
Goodbye, guys.
So what do you?
Goodbye.
Okay, I think that's all of them now. Is this Robert McClure? Is he one of our people?
Not to my knowledge.
I don't know.
Get him out. He can come back.
That's Marcia. I'm gonna remove him too.
All right, thank you. Wow.
Good
Apparently I
job,
picked the right
Rob.
meeting to come to.
All right,
Wow.
give us that number crunch now.
Okay, so your number crunch. So what I was going to say with the operating expenses, which was what you had asked about, there's a lot more encumbered right now than is spent. That includes town cell phone, that includes a couple other things that we have for routine monthly expenses, and we had gone up because we anticipate, likely cell phone service is probably going to go up. So that's why I'd gone up to $50, figuring that spreads it out, roughly $5 a month over the course of the year. So I'm not sure that $290.52. I know we've spent more than that in cell phone service already this year.
Yeah, that was as of 12/31/20.
Yeah.
The current year-to-date is $531.87.
Yep.
With an encumbered amount of $618.13.
Bill, can you
To say I'm right close to the end. So what I do is I open up, I don't want to call them placeholders because I'm not sure if that's the right number or not, but I open up a purchase order for like my town credit card to cover if we have expenses on that. So right now there's 200 encumbered but not spent on that. There's $750 or $850 I think for cell phone service, and then there's a small one for WB Mason. That's mostly what I to spend for office supplies, so we've had a little bit there with trying to get a couple, you know, like webcams and stuff to be able to do the online meetings and all that. So, you know, I don't know if I'll spend all that or not, but, you know, right now I think we're actually at like 90% at least encumbered with the idea. Yeah, pretty close to that. So, so that'll be likely spent, and that number will certainly come up as the bills continue to get paid.
So that's in the operating expenses, Steve. If I'm looking at my own spreadsheet, and my only question I think we just covered was about operating expenses for admin emergency services, and it's now the amount is up. It's no longer 22% spent, and there's also an amount encumbered. I didn't catch the amount, but it sounds like that we're going to come in close on that one. So.
I think Ian said we're like 85% encumbered right now, so.
Well, we're between spent and encumbered, we're at 85%.
85%, so.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
And like I said, some of that's purchase orders to cover my cell phone for the rest of the year and WB Mason for the rest of the year, and we've had a couple little adjustments on that, so.
Third-party ambulance.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the contract with American Ambulance, and that's that fixed rate that we pay for the foreseeable future.
I figured it was something else.
Yeah, that's the American Ambulance contract.
Yep.
Steve, how does that number compare to LVs in a given year? I don't even know if that's an apples-to-apples comparison.
I haven't looked at a lot of the stuff that Russ had, but my understanding is that the 75,000 is significantly cheaper than LV's operating minus their revenues.
Okay.
And the mayor would actually have a lot more information on that.
It makes sense to me that it would be,
critical metric to it involves the 65 to 70% turnout up to calls versus Americans 100% at every call. And I think we had another accident, was down Route 12 recently, where there might have been 3 or 4 transports.
Yeah.
Oh my
They
God.
did them all.
Wow.
And we've been, I keep my eyes, and the mayor gets copied on all of it. I'm reviewing the call stats every month. Our average response time is like 8.5 minutes in town, and it's a little lower than that on this half of town, and it's a little higher on the Gales Ferry half. They're averaging about 10 minutes to Gales Ferry. So, you know, the service really on that initial ambulance, and honestly, we haven't really had any issues on the second and third and fourth calls, and we've had a bunch of those lately. The service has been very, very good, and the communication has been very, very good with, you know, their staff. If there is ever an issue, either of the fire chiefs, myself, and the mayor, we all have the ability to reach out and talk with American and solve things very, very quickly.
Nice.
So it's been good.
Pre-COVID, they would just come right in, so.
Yep.
We'd have a sit-down with them, go over the data and everything, and I'm sure we'll get back to that.
Yep.
All right, very good,
Yep.
thank you.
Very pleased with that so far.
Okay, the only other thing I had was, in the SIP, Steve, we've got fire apparatus replacement and, AEDs.
Yes.
And I actually don't have any question about that. I'm just noting that's what we have. And the amount, you requested was what the mayor approved.
Exactly. And that's up a little over, last year, but, you know, we have those built-ins as far as the percentage increases to try to keep up with inflation and the cost of the, fire apparatus replacement in general, which a lot of times is driven by their market. You know, everything's more expensive this year because there's been such challenges with the supply chain. So luckily we don't have any apparatus that we really have to replace this year. But those numbers certainly shot up, and hopefully they'll kind of flatline here for a little bit and, you know, maybe even recede as we move forward.
Very good.
Steve, remind me.
Am I missing anything? Andra?
Yeah, we've got, I think, 28 AEDs in town. So we're trying to put money away to make sure that when we need to upgrade those to a new model, we can upgrade all of them and not have to play games with, I need to stock 2 separate types of batteries, 2 separate types of pads. And we did pull a little bit of money out of that this year because a lot of the pads expired and a lot of the batteries need to get replaced. So we did have a little bit of an expenditure this year. I think it was right around $2,000, but you know, all the AEDs in town, like the ones in the cabinet over here, have been serviced this year, and I keep an eye on those as well.
And how many did you say we have?
I think it's either 28 or 38. I'd have to look on my stuff, which I probably don't have with me, but.
So where would they be? They're all in the schools, I would imagine,
there's
senior center.
Town Hall Annex, both libraries, senior center, multiple ones in different schools. The fire companies each have multiples. The police department has 4, I believe. I think we have 1 spare in case one of them has an issue and we need to send it out for repair. We can backfill and take care of that.
Okay.
And that has, they have the actual electrode pads inside them, which are only good for about 2 years, and then the batteries are good for 2 to 3 years. So, part of our putting money away is to be able to service those things, because it used to, I believe, come from the ambulance, but with us not having an ambulance, it had to come from somewhere, so it got kind of shifted under my purview.
So, okay, so forgive me if this is a stupid question. So, is it just the ambulance workers who are qualified to use that? Or are there people in each building who are trained to use it?
So here's the interesting one. Anybody that has a CPR card has probably had training in using one of those.
Okay.
Also, when dispatch takes the phone call, they actually have their emergency medical dispatch card set that they go through, and as soon as they identify somebody has no pulse and is not breathing, they can actually provide instructions over the phone from the dispatch center on, hey, get that, open it up, turn it on, put the pads here, and they can actually assist over the phone with defibrillation, so.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Most of them have pictures and diagrams. It's very, very easy to use. I was a lifeguard for like 10 years.
I think every facility has at least somebody, if not more, that is trained to use it, every building that has it.
And that's something, hopefully, after COVID, maybe we can work with American to have a class for those that haven't had it in order to get some CPR cards out. And,
Yeah.
that was part of the contract, is that they've got a
Yeah, they're
reasonable
definitely
price for
willing.
doing that. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve. I have no other questions. Anyone else?
All right.
No, sir.
All right. And we are still sort of on time, amazingly. So, I'm
I'm gonna head to the
see,
back of the room so that Ledyard can move in and
Like the bombing effort.
we'll rotate the COVID, distancing out.
What's up? Hey, Chief, how are you? So was that Todd Willis? He walked by the camera, I can only see his hand.
It is Todd Willis. Chief Man couldn't
Todd, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks for coming.
Good.
Get organized here, give me a second.
Ian, did Tom Long ever chime in or not?
No, he hasn't been in today. But
So the first question I had, Todd, on training.
Yep.
You're at 48% for the year as of 12/31. You may be a little further ahead than that. And my question was, we had been running in in fiscal 20 we budgeted 9,000. 21 we budgeted 9,000, and this year up to 13,000. So I was curious for the reason for the increase.
The increases we've been getting, we're getting some new firefighters in. We've been doing a really good job with, trying to get people in. The training costs more right now to get firefighters through Fire 1 and Fire 2. We had 3 or 4 members take Fire 1 this past year. We've had some members take EMT and EMR. So, in years past, it kind of ebbs and flows a little bit with the training depending on our membership. So, we do have some new members coming in, so we feel that those items are going to go up a little bit.
Well, that's the answer I was hoping for. That's good news. Thank you. Excellent. Next question on fire hose appliance testing. Last year we budgeted $1,000 and none has been spent as of 12/31. Is there a plan to get that spent?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure.
Ian's checking now, Bill.
I think we just may have had the appliances done maybe in February or January. I'm not sure where we stand with that, to be honest with you, but I know I could have sworn it was just done, so.
I think we try to do it when hose testing starts.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where that stands or why that hasn't been.
We have 350 encumbered, nothing spent yet.
Okay.
So if there might be an invoice sitting with Cheryl currently.
It could be.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Next question is cell phone service. That's a 0. I'm thinking there must be some bills in there somewhere. We budgeted 2,000, but have.
Yeah, that's actually a stipend that gets issued to myself and John, which.
Okay.
Bill, he usually does that towards the end of the year as a one-type stipend to cover the 2 chiefs and possibly the captain, I look back, but their cell phone usage, because they don't have town phones.
Sure.
I believe.
Sure.
Correct.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
so there's a little money in there to reimburse them for the amount of time that they spend on, or the effort of spending all that on there.
And make sure that goes in as a reimbursement, otherwise you're gonna have to claim it.
Gotcha.
Have to say reimbursement.
Yep, I think it does, actually.
Okay. I probably learned that last year too and forgot it. Next one, operating expenses. We're running at 34% of budget, which was 7,200. And the budget is increased to 8,200, so I was curious about the reason for that.
I know we've incurred some expenses, obviously from COVID. We incurred some expenses, you know, when we took over from, when American took over, we incurred some expenses that LVs used to cover. So we've been trying to get that reimbursed.
You guys just bought a new four-gas meter. So.
Yeah, we just bought a new meter, so it's, I'm assuming that that's the reason.
You're currently, as of today, at 3270 spent and 1150 encumbered.
I believe John was sitting on a little bit of that money, trying to not spend it because we weren't sure what was going on with vehicle repairs and how tight that was getting. So hoping we can fix that this week, and then maybe he can get what he needs for the rest of the year as far as any new equipment that they need and care of that. But I had urged him to kind of reserve and underspend those for now, just not knowing where we were going.
Yep, got it. So the reason for the request, the increased request was for the taking over from American. Have I got that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Next one, and I'm not sure why I asked this because I don't normally ask about uniforms, but uniform expense was at 29% in December. And I know those are an important part of incentives.
We usually, a lot of times those are spent in the springtime. We try to hang on to some of that money towards the end of the budget season, just in case. And, you know, in the springtime, we end up, you know, spending more of that money. That's probably why it hasn't been spent now.
Hey, Bill?
Yep. Okay. Yes, Steve.
Can you hear me okay, Steve?
Yeah.
Okay, so part of the stuff with the uniforms is he did do a couple purchase orders for career staff uniforms out of that, but a lot of that is consumable PPE, so things like gloves and boots and hoods and helmets, I think, are usually out of that. And he hasn't spent anything on that yet this year, but I would anticipate in the springtime, John will probably have to do some restock with some gloves and those sorts of things. So you'll see that account start to go up.
Got it.
And that's a little bit different than the capital PPE because that's where we buy the physical turnout gear, like the pants and coats out of.
Got it.
As opposed to the uniform and protective clothing.
Okay. Thank you.
A certain percentage of that also is, comes out of payroll.
Yep.
And so it's a bi-weekly payroll thing as well, so that will trickle down over the course of the end of the year here.
That uniform cleaning that they get.
Here, isn't it? I forget how
It's
much.
like $4 a day per
Yeah.
guy, I think, or per shift.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
The better part of $200 per paycheck.
Okay. Under questions?
No, you're covering it.
Okay. The other thing I would ask you, Todd, and I hate to ask this question of volunteers, but got to do my job. If you had to remove or reduce something, where would you cut money?
It's always a tough question.
Well, you don't have to answer now. If you can think about that and come back to us with any recommendations. As usual, we're looking for anything we can do.
Yep.
And again, hate to ask volunteers to do that because we appreciate how much you guys save the town. Ready to look at SIP?
What's that?
Capital.
I'm looking at SIP now.
Do you have the capital or no?
Part of it. Yeah. John, it's printed weird. Thank you.
Freshly printed.
Let me know when you're ready.
Yes.
Okay. First question was about fire hose. Is that a capital account to purchase replacement fire hose?
Yes. Every year, seems like we get a couple lengths that don't pass testing, so it's just basically we're always trying to keep it updated.
Yep, got it. Okay. Next one, I think I may know the answer, but I'm going to ask you guys because I could be wrong. About radios, the amount requested was $6,000, and the mayor approved recommended $5,000. Is that connected to the grant application we're doing?
It could potentially be used as seed money for the grant. The other thing was that we had spoken, and in the event we don't get the grant, I encouraged both departments to start putting away money to plan on doing it on a cash basis out of CNR.
Got it.
So we start that account up, and that's a huge dollar amount long term. So hopefully we do wind up prevailing in the grant. But I figure at this point we should start budgeting and get our foot in the door. We need to budget appropriately long term with that.
Yep. Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions on capital. Anyone else in the room have questions?
My question is not really about the capital itself, but about, sorry, it's really a curiosity question. When you say the hose is 2 to 5 lengths, is a length a particular measurement, or you're just using it generically?
So most lengths are 50 feet.
Okay.
So we have 1 3/4 hose, which is the smaller stuff that we bring into the buildings with us. We have 2.5, which is a little bit bigger. We can use that for more flow. And then we have the larger, usually it's yellow, that you see when they tie into the hydrants, that's 5-inch. Those lengths of 5-inch are right around $1,000 per length.
Wow.
So if we have one that fails, we try to do things like maybe we'll reduce it to 25 feet and put a coupling on it, but we still need to have a certain amount of hose on each of the engines. So every time one of those fails, there's a fairly significant cost. So the idea is to look at what our quantity of hose is across both departments and start budgeting for a replacement. And there's also updated standards that after a certain amount of time, those are not really preferred to have on the apparatus. So part of it's replacing older, out-of-date hose with newer stuff that can be maintained, and to try to keep those stocks kind of rotating as we go.
Got it. Thank you.
And I noticed that it looks like the mayor equalized the request for the two departments, both for hose. Both departments is now, they're both at $2,000 each. I don't have anything else, Chief. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you. All right, thanks. I want this back. Steve, you need that?
Sure.
Miles, I'm good.
Damn good. You're done, Todd. Good job.
All right.
Thank you, Jeff. So did we change our order around? Is Chief Saccone in the room?
Yes, this year we did.
Chief Saccone is here.
Okay.
Bill, it's Tony, I'm here.
Hi, Tony. Once again, I can only see your hands. Hi, back.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. Talk to you later. You got it. See you, Steve. Thank you.
See you, Chief. Thanks.
So, Chief, thank you for coming. First question I have is regarding operating expenses, and it's probably going to be a similar answer to what Ian provided us for Ledyard Fire. Year-to-date, as of December, operating expenses were 24%, which is low. And historically, we have run quite a bit higher. So we 25, 27 is about where we run this year. We're at 25.6, which seems reasonable. Is there anything you can update us with, either on year-to-date expenses or where you think you'll come out?
Was there anything encumbered, Ian?
Currently, your actuals to date are 7,661 spent and 7,263 encumbered, leaving an available 8,500, giving that at, including encumbrance, of 63.7% used with the encumbrances.
Right, did you hear that, Counselor?
Yeah, is that as of end of February?
That's as of today.
As of
So
today.
63% encumbered.
Yep. So that's
Again, we
right about.
we just try to budget it so it lasts the entire year, make it as best possible to do that.
Absolutely.
There's always unforeseen circumstances at the end of the year.
Yep. Okay. The next question is about vehicle and equipment parts. Their request actually F-21 we budgeted 49,000 and the requested amount was 42. So I was curious about the reduction.
So in that 49,000 was a major purchase. I believe it was a generator for one of the vehicles, or a lighting system.
Yep.
So that's why I went up to 49.
Got it.
The only big change in this coming fiscal year would be tires for the tanker,
right,
which was a $5,000 request plus the budgeted line item, so it brings it up to 42.
Yep. Okay. Thank you for that.
Go
ahead.
Is that repairs and maintenance in the vehicle?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So on that, the tire request, so this will be the third year we've applied, asked for the money. I figured the first year or two it might get postponed because of budget crisis, but now we're coming to the tire crisis.
Yeah.
So there's an unwritten rule, either by National Fire Protection Association, about tires that are old versus worn. So just like your tires on a car, they get dry rotted.
Yep.
With the weight of 62,000 pounds on a tanker, we're just trying to replace them before we run into a problem.
Right.
Steve?
Right. Yep.
Okay.
It's kind of like when you have a trailer and, you know, they say that your trailer tires are good for 7 years or 10 years or whatever, and they may look good and they may not look dry rotted, but given the, like the chief said, given the weight of that tanker and, you know, it's not going to wear out tires because it doesn't go on that many calls. It's not like the ladder truck where it's dragging a scrub axle or anything. The tires are probably going to go bad before they're out of tread, and we're approaching that point where now the tires are aged to the point where they really need to get replaced and taken care of.
Understood. Thank you.
So then I'm seeing a pretty big decrease in the percentage of the vehicle, equipment, and parts budget line item and an increase in new equipment. So is that where, is one accommodating for the other?
Well, but again, that decrease from 49 to 42 was because last year we got 10 or 14,000 added to the budget because of a major purchase.
Their original request was 35,000
Right.
for that line. There was an additional 14,000 from a town council action letter for an additional appropriation after the.
Which brought it up to 49.
Got it.
So although it looks like a decrease, and it is, based on expenditures, there was a major reason for that.
Okay.
And then that number will actually kind of go up again because there was just the overexpend motion.
That's correct.
that got approved to cover those two major repairs on the engine, so.
Yep. Right. Okay. And new equipment went up. What was the thinking there?
500. We're just trying to replace outdated equipment.
Okay.
It went up from we requested, 5,500 this year.
Okay.
Just trying to, on an ongoing basis, get ahead of the game and replace outdated equipment.
Sure, understand. So the tough question, Chief, if you had to reduce something, what would you reduce?
So number one, you should not reduce anything that has to do with firefighter protective clothing or consumables protective clothing, which is under the operating line item. Second, we always take our vehicles second to the firefighter, so I would recommend not taking anything out of vehicles. So that gives you, and training as well. So that gives you the chief stipend, new equipment, or telephone services. Those other three items, which is protective clothing, vehicle repair, and the volunteers, I would highly recommend not taking it from them.
Okay.
You can take it out of my chief's line.
No. We are hoping to reduce fax service costs by, Regina is looking into online fax services to get rid of some more of our fax machines. And it's not the machine, it's the telephone line that we pay for. So we're hoping that might get reduced at some point in the future, but no answer on that yet. Okay, let's take a look at, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Bill, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Just a reminder, we were talking last Wednesday about having the conversation about the vehicle repair and equipment, that now both departments have gotten to the point where that vehicle repairs funding from last year hasn't been enough to keep the apparatus on the road. So definitely something to think about as we're reviewing this, that
yeah, good point.
Consistently overspending or moving money from other accounts to try to cover that, and so that those slices of the pie are changing sizes within each fire department's budget.
Understood. Thank you.
And the perfect example of that is this year when we had to remove the radiator from the ladder truck, send it out for repair. That was a $7,200 repair, one repair for one vehicle, and it was a ladder truck, which is important. And again, it was extremely costly, so that really cut into the budget for the year.
We remember.
Yep, I know.
We also, we said at that meeting that, we saved a lot of money by buying a demo. That's a small amount to pay.
That's correct. We went out and bought a $1 million vehicle for $729. So yeah. It sounds like a lot of money, but it was several $100,000 savings.
Yep, exactly. Councilor Ingalls, do you have questions?
No.
Okay, let's move on to SIP then, capital. And let me know when you're ready.
I think we're ready.
Okay. So the first question is for the last line. We had $4,500 request for chief vehicle replacement, and I noticed we did not fund that. I was curious about the reason.
So it was removed by authorities higher than I. So I have a chief's vehicle, and we bought it for $6,000 on Craigslist. The other fire chief does not have a chief's vehicle at their own request. So the mayor wants to try to make it the same between both of us. Chief Man has a higher stipend. I have a lesser of a stipend because I got a vehicle. So
yeah, okay.
I just think it was a nice afforded benefit to the volunteers. I mean, the police chief is sitting here right next to me, and he gets paid pretty well, and he gets a car. Hi, Chief. See you over there.
No comment, Chief.
All right. Hoses we already covered.
Yeah, hose. So just so everybody in the room knows. So Steve Holybeer was talking about it before, but so what we've been trying to do is replace outdated hose that the standard no longer fits. Secondary, there's an unwritten standard, which is if a vehicle, fire truck went to an incident where there was chemicals involved and it ruined all the holes in that fire truck, you should be able to come back to the firehouse, restock that fire truck with hose that's on a rack, ready to go. So we've been trying to build to that standard. It takes numerous years because of the cost of hose. Again, Steve Holyfield mentioned that one length of 5-inch hose is $1,000. So if you ruin 1,200 feet of fire hose, that's $12,000. So we've been building up over the years. It is reduced this year, and you know that's fine. We're just we'll take the program out in the next year or two to try to be able to get to the standard, which is enough to get back to the firehouse and restock a fire truck. Worst case scenario.
That's good to know, Chief. Where do we stand now in terms of inventory? What's on the rack?
We're getting close.
We're getting close. We're between half and 3/4 of what we need. Sure.
Good to hear. Okay. Andra, any questions?
No, sir, I'm good.
And the only other reduction, I believe, was protective clothing, correct?
I saw that, yeah. And again, that's the same as Ledyard, so I assume the mayor's trying to equalize.
Sure, yeah. Just for informational purposes, for pants and a coat, it's $2,500. And you haven't given the helmet yet, or the boots, or the gloves, and so it's $2,500. And if you have 20 volunteers, you know, it could take 10 years to replace them all based on the $10,000 a year. So, and there is, OSHA has been coming around the state of Connecticut to firehouses, and if your gear is at 10 years old, that's fine. If it's at 11 years old, you need to take it out of firefighting line items, right?
Wow.
So after 10 years, basically an EMT can use it, or a non-trained firefighter can use it on the 11th year. But prior to that, you get caught with it, you get fined with it if you're trying to use it as firefighting gear. So we're just trying to get up to that standard that OSHA is enforcing.
Yeah. How many members do you have, Chief?
We had 17 members this year qualify, I think it was, for the incentive. We have about 25 to 28.
Okay. How many members do we have in Ledyard?
I don't know. I'd say there's somewhere around 12 to 17. That's just a guess.
They've actually had a fair amount of younger members start to sign up lately, and you know, I'll call it the 16 to 20 demographics. They've been bolstering their numbers, so I'm hopeful that they'll continue to become qualified, certified interior firefighters to be able to help out.
Yeah, good. Okay. Just asking because if one department had twice as many members as the other, then we probably shouldn't be equalizing protective equipment. So
it's a very good thought. Yes, we'd have to check out the membership, and it also remember we use it to purchase for the 5 career guys as well. It comes out of that line item.
Yep. Okay. I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate you being here, and we thank you and your department for what both departments do.
All right, you're welcome.
Good luck, Chief.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I see the chief.
Thanks for that, Carson.
Warmed it up for me, thank you very much. I've seen it, I think. Yeah. Yes.
We're gonna get out of
Yeah.
here.
Since Kenny, ACO first, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
How are you? Good, how are you? Good.
Andra, I forgot to ask, is someone in the room keeping attendance? I have not been. I could probably reconstruct, but I'm... Roxanne, wonderful. Thank you, Roxanne. So I think I saw the chief, I think I saw Christina, the lieutenant, and I think I see Paula Smith. Is that right?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you all for coming.
Roxanne, did you let Bill know that? No, you can let him. Okay. Bill? Thursday. Roxanne
Yeah.
just informed that Don Steinhoff has rescheduled until Thursday.
Okay. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Roxanne. He's probably out there investigating those Zoom hackers.
Probably.
We're on that right after we get out of here, Bill.
That would be fun to watch.
Yeah.
I have to fly across the pond, though.
Yeah, I heard. We just wanted to make a real quick presentation about animal control. There really isn't a lot to change in the budget. I have Christina here, as always. She's done a terrific job. We have a newer part-time animal control officer, Heather Haddon, and she is also terrific, reliable, and things are really stabilized, and it's going very well. As it relates to specific budget, it's pretty much the same as it's been. I don't think we ended up with a percentage increase, Mayor. Am I right on that?
Correct.
Well,
Correct.
Yeah.
One thing, there's a couple of things we wanted to bring, and if you want to go to SIP on this, or you want to go to SIP after on everything,
No, go ahead. We can do that.
We've been saving for the ACO vehicle, and currently the balance in the account is $22,000 and change, with an additional $5,000 appropriation, which is what we asked for this year, again, in the reserve fund. We think we'll be able to execute this year on buying a more suitable vehicle that's all-wheel drive, potentially a used SUV, something that we can work within the budget. Makes it easier for Christina and Heather to get from place to place. Again, all-wheel drive in the snow. She had an incident in the last storm where Sean had to assist her in the two-wheel drive van. So that's one of the big, again, one of the things I wanted to highlight as it relates to the budget here, as well as I believe it brought to my attention that minimum wage in Connecticut is going to $13 on July 1, and our part-time ACO currently makes $12.91. I don't know if that's a bigger discussion for Don and company, or what that would look like, but we wanted to at least bring that to the attention of the Finance Committee.
Okay.
And other than that, there really isn't much change. Again, all compliments to Christina. The relationships that she's built in both the ACO community as well as the animal lover community and the veterinary community has been amazing. We benefit greatly from donations of both food and leashes and crates and anything that could be needed, as well as the fund that continues to get supplemented at All Friends, that helps defray the medical expenses for the dogs and cats and other animals that we have in. So, you want to add anything, Christina?
No, like it's the big thing that I had brought up to Chief this year was about the minimum wage for our assistants. They should definitely be making more than minimum wage, so.
That is one of the challenges we've been anticipating. So thank you for bringing that up. I also want to comment that quite a few years ago now, we were looking at the Ledyard ACO kennel, or the kennel, and we met with some supporters of animals and pets and suggested to them that a grassroots organization raising funds to support the department would go a long way to keeping the department. And I just want to recognize and reiterate what the chief said about how much money is raised by the friends of the community, if you will, for those pets. And Chain is one of those organizations, and they do a fantastic job. So we appreciate what they do to reduce our expenses.
Absolutely.
And we're also happy to have Christina back. So the expenses brings me to my question. Operating expenses for animal control was at 18% at the end of December. So I'm curious about whether that number has gone up and why it's so low.
Sure. So, Bill, budget line is at, is 7,200.
Yep.
Again, all of the, upkeep and maintenance of the facility comes out of that line item now. So the things that Sean needs, et cetera, the preventive maintenance on the heating and cooling systems, everything is now funded out of that one single line. So, power, et cetera. So we, right now, as it stands, as far as encumbrance, we're at, with encumbrance and expenditure, we're at 66.8%.
Okay.
And that's right about on the money right now, where we should be in the fiscal year. And I think there's additional, preventive maintenance that Sean gets done in the spring, on the systems. So I think that number's been, pretty true, throughout the past, couple of years. Am I right on that, Ian?
Yeah.
In 19, there was actually an additional appropriation for $1,700 to cover additional expenses, it looks like.
Okay.
So yeah, 72 is about right.
Yeah, and the budget, right now in total is at, 70.3%, so we're pretty much on the money, I think, as it relates to where we need to be, at this point in the fiscal year.
Yep, agreed. Okay. Andra, any questions?
I have again, my question is less budget related and more a curiosity question. So you have the relationship with All Friends in Norwich. I'm curious, Ledyard has two vets one is Ledyard, one in Gales Ferry. Is there a reason that that we're more partnered with All Friends than a local vet?
That started before my time, and it's just kind of continued. All Friends not only gives us a good deal there, but they work with us as far as vouchers are concerned, and because of that relationship, I get a lot for free up there. So not saying that we couldn't build that relationship with a vet here in town.
Mm-hmm.
Gales Ferry Vet is just Dr. Haran. I don't think that they would be able to take us on just because it's such a small practice. I have spoken to Groton Ledyard, and we do use them from time to time, just depending on what the situation is. But All Friends, they just work well with us. I can call a friend or a vet at 9 o'clock at night because I have a question, and I get my questions answered for free right back. So it's been worth it for me to stay up there even after my 2-month sabbatical when I left here and went to work for them for a couple of months, and came back. They've still been great to work with. So, and they're the ones that hold our autumn fund. So we have our account set up there also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that was, it's not saying we couldn't build a relationship like that somewhere else, but so far.
I wondered if maybe it was just because of the size of the practice, because I'm aware that both of these are smaller practices, but I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, and they change their vets from time to time up there, just depends when people leave, but it certainly helps that the size of the practice is the way that it is. We can make a call and get in there that day or the very next day for appointments, so.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm all set, Bill.
Bill's not, he's on the phone.
You had to take a little break.
Funny.
Sorry, I bounced. I was muted the whole time. Are we taking a break? I missed what's going on there.
We're good.
No, we were waiting for you.
Yeah.
We thought you were taking another call.
No. My ear AirPods have died. My internet is bouncing. Miss you guys.
Oh, gosh, Bill. I think we're done with ACO.
We are. So thank you, Christina. Let's move on. I think Paula Smith is next.
Yeah.
Volunteer.
Am I right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christina.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Christina.
Okay. I'm ready when you are, Paula.
All right, so I think this year, we've transitioned to where we have 8 people on, which is actually very good because the amount of activity level in the center, even with the COVID crisis, has actually continued to increase steadily every year. So we've actually been pretty consistent with the budget. We've tried to minimize the expenses that we actually put out. And I think that we've actually done a pretty good job of maintaining that consistency and providing the excellent service that all the dispatchers do in comparison with other centers around the area. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this or not, but we actually pride ourselves in that one-stop shopping. We've actually transferred people on 911 to London, England, Ballard, Nova Scotia, Van Nuys, California, just to name a few of them. So anybody that needs help, we get them where they need to go. Can you build that out for me? What would that look like? We actually get a 911 call. Maybe it's a Ledyard resident who maybe was talking to a relative in another country or another part of the United States. And we do the research, get the phone number, and through the 911 system, we can actually transfer them right to that emergency center. So you might get a call from someone in Ledyard who's got an emergency with somebody in, all right, so Van Nuys you mentioned. Yeah. So the emergency's in Van Nuys, but someone in Ledyard calls you for help and you... We actually can transfer them right to, we usually use the police department because the police department is consistent. And the reason for that is because if we get away from Connecticut, there are so many privatized ambulances and fire. And we've, like I said, we've sent it to Ballard, Nova Scotia for somebody who was on the phone talking to their friend, and the friend had some type of seizure and went unconscious. So. Wow, that is wild. Oh my goodness.
I think they do a great job in there. One thing, since I've been chief, the PD's been independent. We've been working toward the 2 people in the chairs at all times. We've been able to achieve that with a schedule change, contractual negotiations, and so as of right now, we're fully staffed with 2 people in the chairs at all times, 24/7, and it's needed because we've had simultaneous multiple emergencies come in, both police, fire, EMS. It's been super busy for the dispatchers, and we've brought on some great new people. They're all doing very well, learning the job, and so right now we're staffed out with 8 full-time people. They've recently gone to a pitman schedule, which is 12-hour shifts. So one of the things that one of the challenges that we had both these past 2 fiscal years was actually having full-time staff and having people leave, and so you can see that overtime is overexpended right now as of this point in the fiscal year, and those things seem to have stabilized. The new schedule's only been in effect since December 6th of 2020, so we're just starting to try to figure out what all that is going to look like. But looking at the total hours of overtime that we spent in the prior year, we based the request on that. Right now, in operations, there is extra appropriation in both full-time employees, public safety employees, and per diems. So we've had less people coming in per diem with the new 2 people in the chairs situation. So be able to make those transfers after April 1st to balance out these accounts. and we should be, I think what we've put forth for next fiscal year, I think is gonna work for us. Hopefully, that's provided that we stay fully staffed and, hopefully everybody stays healthy and, but as of right now, it's been a work in progress and we've made big progress in the whole staffing.
To underscore what you just said, Chief, this was a long time coming and a good plan, because in fiscal 20, overtime was at $70,000, and per diem wages were $51,000 that same year, and have been as high as $59,000. So this is a huge savings over a period of 5 years, which we appreciate. And it's happened because of the reorganization, rescheduling of the dispatchers. So, and to your point, to get one experienced person in a chair at all times, and 2 people in total. So, good work. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm trying to think if there was anything else remarkable in the actual requests as it relates to numbers that stood out. If you saw anything, please let me know, and I'll. It's mostly been in the staffing itself and trying to balance between per diem, overtime, and full-timers. But I think, you know, if you look at the total budget right now, expenditure-wise, is at 6.9, and so we're right where we need to be. I just need to do some transfers after April 1st, working with Ian and Marcia to balance up those salary accounts, and I think we should be in good shape.
Okay. One question I did have was about contract maintenance and leases, where as of December, we're 81% expended. I was curious what's in there, because we've increased this year's budget as a result.
Yeah. So I was just speaking to Paula about it. I got noticed by Central Square, which used to be Tritech IMC. They're now been bought out by an outfit named Central Square. They sent a letter with a 5% across the board increase for all services before I prepared the budget. So you'll see a 7.68% increase, and they should all be broken down in my request. But Tritech is up to 18,935, and I think there was a couple of other minor increases. Interaction Insight, who does our recording, our data recorders or our voice recorders. Those were the ones that I think stood out the most. Communications Plus has been really good to us all throughout. They've been a great partner. So
just to give you an example, with Communications Plus, in respect to what they charge us per year for our maintenance of all of our base stations and many of our radios, Groton Fire Alarm is well over $30,000 for their general radio maintenance and upkeep. So we're getting a tremendous advantage to the town in respect to the amount of money that we're actually putting out for that.
Good to hear.
Yeah, they've been a great great team to work with over there, and they've now they do all of our vehicle upfits for the police as well, because the quality of their work has been tremendous. And working with the larger MHQ, they used to do their basics package, and they did what they wanted versus what we wanted and needed. So some of the stuff that we have in our cruiser capability right now is really high tech. We actually have the lights are communicating with each other between 2 cars. So when the cruiser hits a certain speed, the rear flashing lights on the front car will actually just go to a steady burn, and then the next cruiser in is not getting blinded. The lights are not flashing.
Oh, yeah.
It's really amazing how what the technology that they've come out. Yeah, it's been really and they've been really great to work with, and also reasonably priced. So, but I think they really do take pride in being a longtime partner of ours, and they want to give us good service. And
they were actually instrumental in having us have the ability to take in build out our voter receiver system at the towers too, because they got a bunch of free equipment for us from Madison, the Chiefs' old stomping ground. So that was a huge savings to be able to do that.
Thanks.
Did you see anything else, councilors, that was something out from.
Yeah, I had a question. I lost it because I got excited listening to that. Oh yeah, so Central Square. A while back, we looked at IMC and decided to stay with them. Is that something we should look at again, given the price increase? Should we be looking at other competitors?
I think, LT, you want to jump in on that?
I would say yes. It would behoove us to start looking at another vendor, only because I don't know how long Central Square is going to stay in business.
Or support IMC.
They are already announced that they're not doing any more upgrades, so what we have now is what you get. You know, they'll still maintain it, but there's no updates, there's nothing new coming from them. You know, we could have another discussion offline, but it's, there's a few other vendors out there, namely which is NextGen, which is basically what most of the state and the state of Connecticut emergency services are using. So that's what we were using before we went independent. It's just the cost to switch to them back then was astronomical. As compared to IMC. So it was a no-brainer for that. But yes, my opinion would be we should start researching it.
Yeah. So when one company buys another in the software industry and then announces they're not going to do any more upgrades, that means they bought a competitor to take them out of the arena. And that means you're going to have to shift to their software at great expense anyway. That's the way they do it.
That's the informed platform that they actually have. But most of the local dispatch centers, in conjunction with the police departments, are actually converging to the NextGen. So we think probably the ability to accomplish what the IMC did in respect to being able to communicate with other departments. Obviously, if everybody was on NextGen, that would definitely assist in the investigative portion of the PD side of it. Groton Fire Alarm actually recently converted to it as well, so we're hoping that if we do go to that in the future, that those guys will have them all whipped into shape and get out all those kinks that we're having on the fire and EMS side of it, so.
That's the knock on NextGen, is that they're law enforcement heavy and fire and EMS. So.
But we came from a DOS-based system, so if we can go from DOS to Windows or IMC, I guess we can pretty much accomplish anything, right?
Sounds like a good idea to me. So, sounds like an RFP is coming.
Yeah, I think there's a few different things we're going to talk about as it relates to the region, I think, and more regional collaboration. So I think we might want to talk about the CAT RMS aspect of that, as well as radios, et cetera. So.
Yeah. Okay. So, speaking of that, let's take a look at capital. We have a base station replacement reserve line.
Yeah, and we just had the basic $8,500 request, which usually pays for about a half of a replacement. So, depending on what comes up, we sometimes we need to spend a portion of that on a repair, but basically it's usually about that number, $18,000. So we try to keep a reserve to supplement that. And in this particular past fiscal year, there was an appropriation from that line to, I believe, help out with the state radio bridge.
State radio bridge.
State radio bridge. We did take half of it from that, and then half of it came from emergency management. So.
Did I see that Groton just went to the state police system? Saw something in the newspaper. Yeah. You see it going that direction?
Yeah, and so we have the kind of the brain of it right now in dispatch. So if theoretically if Groton Town came into town, they could speak with our officers over that mixer or that bridge. And really what the other departments around us, Stonington, Norwich, Groton Town and City, as well as EB also has there's a station down there, or a tower site down there. They've built out the infrastructure to the point where when they did our coverage map, it was about 98 98% coverage here in Ledyard. So we're in the place where we need just hardware, which would be mobile and portable radios, to be able to be completely on the system. We don't need any tower sites or any of that big money work. We just need the pieces now. So, and that's because of the other departments around us all saw the benefit of going to the system, and they all spent significant money to build out tower sites. So we've always had the tower on Vinegar Hill, which is the state radio tower, and that helps out with Gales Ferry. We do have some dead spots with or tough spots with our UHF that we use now. So.
Part of the problem, Bill, is
Go ahead, Paul.
Part of the problem is that the tree cover, the trees in the area obviously get bigger. So the more they grow, like we have a pretty good problem with Route 12, which you would think would be a good area, but there's a certain section between like Military Highway and up past the Village Pizza area that we're actually still having some pretty good reception problems for them actually even being able to hear us.
Wow.
And also, the PD, obviously, you know, a lot of the PD departments are on that system now, but we now have fire and EMS departments actually exploring going onto that system as well. And we're going to be having the Public Safety Committee meeting, and a few weeks after that coming up, we're going to actually have a radio committee meeting where we're going to talk about doing that. But the hopes is to be able to transition to that if we decide to do that. Through grant money, and obviously the more towns that get together that put in for grant money, the better the chance of them actually getting it.
Yeah. So you're talking about the tri-band radios?
Yeah, similar to the Gales Ferry ones that they put in for their grant, which unfortunately got denied. They're going to try again, but those would cover any radio system that we're utilizing. So.
Yep. Okay. Okay, thank you. Andrea?
Just another curiosity question, sorry. How does the meal stipend work?
So if we work a 12-hour shift now, if we get held over for 6 additional hours, which would be a total of 18, after we work 14 hours straight, we would get that meal allowance. So we do not get it on a regular basis. It's probably less now than it was before, where we had a propensity or a possibility of working 16-hour shifts. So
in 2020, calendar 2020, Andrea, we paid that 97 times. It showed up in the in-time system. So 97 times 15 in calendar 2020. That was the expenditure. That's what it's based on.
Sorry, my page is struggling to load here. Okay.
Thank you, Andrea.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. I have no other questions. Thank you very much, Paula.
thank you, guys. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Getting there.
There's a reason why we have you call in, right? When you go in the woods.
Yeah, isn't that something? Remember that? When you told me, hey, call and let us know when you're staying there, parking there? Steve Whaley knew right where I was.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so let's get squared away on the PD side. So I as far as the police department, I asked Lieutenant Kreutz to step out because I do want to talk again about the proposed restructure that I brought up last year, and my sense last year was he was uncomfortable while I was speaking about it in his presence because it involved him, and so that was one of the things I wanted to bring up. But if it's your choice if you want to go over the other stuff first, the other lines, SIP, or however you want to see that working. But I think we've kind of finally stabilized, if you will, as it relates to our staffing level. Even though we lost 3 people over the summer, we have 2 in the academy right now. The overtime expenditure seems to have like leveled out. Am I right, Mayor?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's there.
Yeah, and so I just, we're gonna lose Sergeant Bailey, at the end of the month. The 26th is his last day of work. So I added I asked for a little increase there, knowing that he's gonna leave, and, we'll be down a person, a sergeant for a little while. And then we'll see where it goes from there. But, I've so much appreciated the council and the committee's support about the staffing plan, that we brought forward a few years back to get ready for all these changes and all these retirements. So if you can believe it, we've actually hired 10 police officers since I've been chief in the past 5 years.
Wow.
And we retained 7 of them. The first one that we hired didn't make it through field training, if you guys remember that. And then we had, over the summer again, officers Concasia and Van Overloop, who were new hires, ended up leaving. Van Overloop went to a different department, and Concasia left law enforcement altogether, along with other police officers who just, based on the climate, were not thrilled with what was happening. And then also Ben Burbank ended up leaving and moving.
And he left law enforcement, right, Ben?
He left law enforcement altogether. Yes.
Yeah.
So we have our 2 recruits in the academy, Heidi Chronister and Taylor Krajewski. They're both doing a great job. They're actually report mostly every day here on Zoom. They're starting to go more toward commuter because of COVID situations, but they overstaffed the class there up to 72 because they believe they're going to do it remotely, and so they're both doing very well. And then we brought on Greg McDonald, who was a Norwich police officer back in December, to augment. So we're really just down 1 body. I had a conversation last Tuesday with Gary Butters. He intends now to stay for a couple more years, which is good news. He's a great officer and a great team player. So really, we're down 1 from our absolute peak that we've been at, which was 24. Right now we have 23, but it also includes the 2 that are in the academy who are not filling out the schedule right now. So that's kind of where we're at right now. One of the big things that's come up here is the police accountability bill, and everything that goes along with that. Even though the language, at least today in the Judiciary Committee, is new proposed language for use of force, but the requirements I put them all in the SIP, and I don't know if you want to go over that, go over those now, or if that's just as easy. Ian, would I be able to see the SIP, SIP request up there?
Just gotta find you.
That's okay.
There we go.
Yep, so, you see, the CALIA accreditation reserve, I created a reserve fund for CALIA accreditation because that's required now by the Police Accountability Bill for departments to be nationally accredited. All Connecticut departments to be nationally accredited by 2025. Body-worn cameras, as well as the psychological exam reserve. And I know I talked to Don about there's a new level of drug testing for recertification, and Don, I know, is going to include that in his request. And Ian, can you scroll? I think there's like maybe one more. No, we're done. Okay. So with all that said, when we move toward accreditation, that's one of the main reasons. I've always believed that we need to split our command staff into admin and operations, and now accreditation is going to be a serious administrative project. That is going to be a major lift for all of us in the department. So I created 2 different organizational charts, one to show how we actually operate now, and one to show how I propose that we operate going forward after July. So, Ian, can you see those in the PDF at all? I know Marcia put them into...
I have an Excel spreadsheet in front of me that I believe Marcia is also working with.
Okay, I can But she said, that there was a PowerPoint, PDF org chart, and if we can't pull it up, I have, copies.
It's in ClearGov.
It's in ClearGov?
If you go back to his department budget, Ian.
Oh, is it your backup?
Attachment.
It's the very last item in the police operating budget.
I didn't realize I thought that was just the Munis backup.
Hi, Marcia, I didn't realize you were there, thank you.
Hi, John.
John, going back to this, new accreditation,
Yes.
what do they hope to achieve?
Well, so it's basically, it's a huge inspection of your operation and your facility and your vehicles and everything.
Who is pushing this?
All right, so the legislature passed it in Public Act 2001. And Connecticut's has a few different levels of accreditation. One is called CLESP, and I know I've sent things to Bill about CLESP because we're always CLESP compliant, and those are the standards that you need to meet right now. And every year, the past 2 years that we've been inspected, which is, it's only been in effect for those 2 years, we've been fully compliant with CLESP, the standards. And Connecticut also has post accreditation, which has 3 different tiers, and then CALIA accreditation is national accreditation. So CALIA stands for the Commission on Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies. So I went through, first of all, the state police have been CALIA accredited through my whole career. And then we took Madison PD through CALIA accreditation when I was the commander over there. So it's...
So this is not anything new?
No, but what's new is that the legislature says everybody has to be CALIA accredited.
Okay.
Every police department, because based on the accountability bill and everything, all the narrative from last summer, the legislature wants every police department to be CALIA accredited.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So, again, it's a huge project. It starts with your policies, and then it's a review of, first of all, you have to have all these different policies, and then it's a review of showing how you actually comply with your policies, and it includes your facility as well. We're super fortunate to have a 5-year-old building right now because there are departments that have cell blocks and, with bars and all these things that are not going to meet the standards, unless it's major construction. So we are, again, I can't say enough, like, we're built for accreditation. We're in really good shape facility-wise. Policy-wise, we're going to need some work to get to that standard for sure. There's all different things, including things in personnel. There's all, it just runs the gamut. And so one of the places that we're running into issues in our operation really is it's the breadth of the duties that the lieutenant and I try to split, and there's a drop-off in some areas where you get to the level below him in this configuration in our first draft here. So it's basically, in the chain of command, it would be 6 sergeants and then all dispatch answering to him. And he's not there 24/7, and neither am I. So I've modified my schedule a little bit to come in a little bit later and stay later, so I'm there into the evening shift to try to deal with issues and problems that might happen to come up. But in general, I think we're not structured to be able to effectively manage operations around the clock. That's my and sometimes we don't get the notifications that we should get of situations that have happened, and then when we come in the morning, we're up against trying to play catch up. I don't know if you have any questions on the first chart, but one of the things that we did do was we have Sergeant Bailey doing double duty. He's actually a detective supervisor as well as a patrol supervisor, and the animal control officers also answer to him. We're going to lose him in 15 days. And so what I was looking to propose, if you want to go to the next slide, is a split that makes the executive officer an administrative officer, and makes the lieutenant's position an operations officer. So when the PD went independent, there's agreement between the union and the town that says if you add a position that's above lieutenant, then lieutenant goes back into the union. So that complicates things a little bit. I've talked to Don about it a whole bunch of times, and it's in an MOU, so it's something that we'd have to deal with. So is an Excel spreadsheet in there, Ian? Do you know that had the? Well, I ended up doing a draft like I did last year of the budget with a captain, and it's in an Excel spreadsheet. You don't have it? Okay. Anyway, what it basically does is you'd end up removing removing full sergeant salary, because the lieutenant would be a union member, would take over the sergeant. The lieutenant, by contract, has to be, when it was a union position, had to be 10% above step one sergeant. So I put that number in there as well. So that lieutenant salary would go to $91,434, which would be a reduction from what Lieutenant Kreutz makes as of July 1st of $36.66. And then Lieutenant Kreutz is on a contract as an individual, and there probably has to be further negotiation if he ends up getting promoted as to what that would look like. So I can't speak to what his salary would be, but I would say it would be a bit above that $95,000 mark that we're going to in July 1st. And then if you look back to the org chart again, what that allows for is the lieutenant to basically manage patrol with 5 sergeants and then all the patrol officers, and the captain to oversee the support services, which is detectives, dispatch, and animal control, as well as all the myriad duties that he has already, which is it's off the chart. And he'd have to pull together the accreditation team. We do it together, but that's going to be a huge lift. And I don't know, based on how we're set up now, how we would accomplish it without either, most departments have an accreditation manager. They have somebody just dedicated to that every time it comes up. It's a 3-year cycle and then three-year reaccreditation. And I've believed ever since we've been operating since I've been here for 5 years now, a couple of years in, I realized that we need to make a change here, as far as splitting out, again, administration and operations, because he and I run around like one-arm paper hangers all the time and just trying to put out fires. And if we had a patrol commander that was a lieutenant and was a union member as well, I think that would smooth a lot of things out for us as it relates to operations. Our sergeants are, improving and getting better. We still have some issues there. I think that's a leftover from the resident trooper program, to be quite honest. And when there wasn't responsibility and accountability, and I think we still have some work to do there. And some of them are cycling out toward retirement, and got new people coming. And I think the team, the people that we have in the team right now, we have a bright future really coming up for us. It's just this one change is really what I would propose as a really important, and really the most important thing that I could accomplish, I think, here as a chief. That this would solve a lot of issues. This would be my number one priority.
John, where is this listed?
So can you see the second?
It's got you, then it's got the lieutenant, then it's got public safety employees, administrative wages.
Oh, if you scroll down.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're on the paper. This is back up on the ClearGov.
Okay.
It's okay. So
you have that in there?
Yes, it's attached as backup
Okay.
at the bottom.
There is a
So-
second page to that. Is that what you were looking for, John?
I don't think so. Marcia, I think again, me not being familiar with ClearGov, when I went into the mayor's, with the meeting with the mayor, we did discuss this. And again, I had it on the Excel spreadsheet, so I don't know if it made the trip.
No, I don't think so. But if you send that to me, if you can email that to me, I'll attach it in ClearGov.
I will.
I'm gonna scan it into you right now.
So Chief, what's in the proposed budget? It looks to me as if we have the current structure reflected in the proposed budget. Is that true?
The current structure is what the budget is and has always been, or at least has been since I've been here.
Okay.
And again, the other thing was, the proposed amendment is in a draft form in an Excel spreadsheet, so you can kind of see the numbers. I've talked to Don about this on numerous occasions. We have the job descriptions in draft form.
Okay.
We have, and I think it would just take a small amount of negotiation as it relates to Kenny Courts and the union itself. But the precedent is already there, as it relates, because it's in the MOU.
Yep.
So as far as what the lieutenant, what the lieutenant would get paid, that the lieutenant would be a union member, et cetera.
Correct.
We talked about it last year, we did, yes. Yeah, and now it's, again, with the police accountability bill, it's just become more and more glaring to me, along with some other situations that we've had come up in the operations that.
So if Kenny becomes a captain,
Mm-hmm.
then who becomes the lieutenant? Or is that open for?
That will be open to the officers who qualify, which I believe would be, in the description would be two years as a sergeant, yeah.
All right, that's okay.
Yep.
So you have perhaps somebody in mind?
I think I have the people that could do it, yes.
That's what I meant.
Yes. Sure.
So then, would that mean you would have to hire somebody on the other end?
Well,
Another-
I don't believe so, only because the MOU doesn't specifically say that. It just says that if Ledyard hires somebody in between, above lieutenant, below the chief, that the lieutenant position goes back to the union, and that's what it says. So if it goes back to the union, then we run with the lieutenant and 5 sergeants. That's how I would see it. That,
So it doesn't mean an additional police officer?
no. No. So
Chief,
just
after Bailey retires, who else is a detective with Cadro?
Pudva.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the division.
Okay.
He's the court evidence officer, so
Yep.
he's in the division.
Okay.
But after, yeah, so I'm gonna end up taking those guys back for a little while as it relates to direct supervision.
Right.
Because Ernie's, going on his way at the end of the month. And he's, I can't say enough about what Ernie Bailey's done for this, department. He has been a tremendous asset. I'm sorry if I get off on a tangent. Bill, I don't know if you, if there was anything else that we wanted to like cover, but I wanted to use my time wisely and,
Yeah. So I let me see if I can restate it, just to play it back, Chief. So in this proposal, which is not in the budget now, but we may need to think about it. Right now we have 6 sergeants. If you move to the new structure, we'd have the same number of heads, but one of the sergeants would become a union lieutenant, and the lieutenant would move up to captain. And then you would have the staff to split these responsibilities. That's the way I'm understanding it.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Oh. All right. Can you, moving off a little bit back toward the budget, can you talk about body cameras? Because we've been expecting this as a result of this past summer and the legislative changes. So can you talk about the time frame for body cameras? I see that they're in the capital account. So talk about that, please.
Sure. So, we have a vendor, WatchGuard Video, which has been purchased by Motorola in the interim. But WatchGuard, built and installed our, in-car video system, which has also been a real benefit to us. The limitation there is that, if the officer's out of the car, you don't necessarily catch video unless he's in front of the camera. But the audio, the wireless audio can travel a great distance, like a quarter of a mile from the vehicle. So the WatchGuard would be the choice, obviously, because we have their software, their servers, et cetera, to be our body-worn camera vendor, because they're already our provider as it is. So they have two different levels of body cameras. One's called Vista, and one's called V300. So the quote that I have in the attachment is for the V300 system, which is the latest software that they're going to support. It includes on-site server. That's how we store video right now. There are other options out there, and as we talked about before in earlier meetings, the cloud storage just keeps getting more and more, I think, convenient and cheaper. So, but right now this is quoted with a server to support that video, and I'm, as you know, I'm a supporter of body-worn cameras and have been since I got here as chief, and I think they answer a lot of questions.
Yeah, I agree.
Eliminate a lot of issues. The system that we would, I propose that we purchase 25 of them that would outfit the whole department. That each officer would have an individual camera. We'd need 3 storage banks of chargers, if you will, and they don't dump wirelessly like the in-car system does into the server. You have to put them into the cradle, the dock, and then the video downloads into the server. The two systems have the ability to kind of recognize the same incident, if you will, and then can merge all of the video from a single incident into that incident from the car, as well as the body cameras of multiple officers involved in the situation. Again, body cameras are not, completely foolproof. There's all kinds of different factors, human factors, that go along with them. Sometimes I'm sure you've seen plenty of video where an officer's hands are out in front of them or whatever, and certain parts of the action get obstructed depending on what the officer's doing. But all in all, they're a great tool, I think, because what they've shown largely is the professionalism of police officers who are wearing them, as opposed to the gotcha scenario that some people had hoped for, I think. And really, it's the state of the art right now, and it's a risk management tool, and it's required by the bill by 2023. So I think we have the relationship with WatchGuard where we can execute this, I think, quickly after July 1, and then have our people up and running. The policy, body-worn camera policy, recently got updated by the state, so it would just be a matter of adding that to our current policy about video, and that won't be a heavy lift at all. We won't be starting from scratch, but I think that obviously this is the time to do it. And then there's a 30% reimbursement out there on bonding for non-distressed municipalities, and 50% for distressed municipalities. So the ClearGov request shows the grant funding. And then the outgoing costs, was $7,000, I think it was $7,050 per year is all, individual device support fee. And the grant will reimburse the first year, as they always do, and then outgoing costs would be about $7,000 a year for the town.
Okay. So I'm trying to make the numbers add up. The request was $63,460, and it shows taxes covering $44,000 of that, and a grant $19,000. But then in the mayor's recommendation, he supported the full request, but taxes are supporting only $31,000. So I'm curious about the difference there.
Well, I can't see the ClearGov right now, but I know they do the pie chart with grant versus taxes and all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, looking at this.
Yeah.
This is what we're referring to. So here is the taxes for the department proposed.
Yep.
44 and 19, and then if you move over to the mayor's, it changes from that ratio to the 31 to 31.
That's because the mayor understood that there was 50% funding from the state.
I see.
Oh.
Okay. I see.
All right.
So, and I know there was still some other discussion in the legislature. That's what some of the municipalities obviously said. This is a state mandate.
Yep.
But as of now, to my knowledge, it's 30% for non-distressed municipalities and 50% for distressed. And OPM is really just starting to roll out that program. I just got an email on it last week.
Got it. Okay. So that'll clear itself up eventually. So thank you for that. All right. Should we stay on SIP or should we go into the expense budget? What's your preference?
I'm ready for either.
Okay.
So, police vehicles, the 90, what were at in the
99,210.
99,210 for police vehicles. So
That was the department.
that was a department request.
And the mayor kept with that, yes.
Yep. So the latest numbers, at least on the police cars, are there's no longer a sedan version coming from Ford.
Yeah.
So everything's Explorer based. Those are state contract at $34,501 each, and we just got two new ones on the road, and they came out beautiful. Thanks to Communications Plus.
That's before being outfitted.
Yes, correct. Yep, that's just a vehicle. Yep, and then the graphics are usually about $500, which is a little minor expenditure from MHQ, and then the upfit, we added the radio capable of the state system in advance of knowing that we have the bridge, obviously the brain in dispatch. So in these last two cars that we put up, we actually have the hardware, the radio, the portable radio in there. So the upfit for one of them was $14,910. That radio being the additional expense usually costs about $12,000, and then the other one was $14,944.10. So it must have needed another little piece. So those are almost $15,000 for the upfit itself, which is going to be obviously the cage, push bumper, all the lights, siren, the install of the camera, the install of the radar set, everything.
Whistles and bells.
All the bells and whistles, yes. So 34, 15 bits. So basically, the cruiser's costing almost $50,000, $49,000.
Yep.
Each and change. So that's the 99,210. And then we looking at the mileage report, we definitely have two cars that are ready to come offline and we just had an accident with Cruiser 58 where Officer McSwain got slid into by someone at the bottom of Rose Hill. And that car was already on a salvage title. So we may lose car 58, which had 108,000 miles on it, which I'm not going to cry about, but we also have 60 with 140 and 61 with 100 and 111. So if we have to run 61 for another year, that's what we'll have to do. If 58 goes away because they won't pay to repair it.
Do we have a 54, or did we?
We do have a 54, and it's one of the brand new SUVs. And I think Marcia mentioned that to me. She said you can't take car 54 off the road. And I said we're just replacing it with a new car 54. So
good.
And if you need to know where it is, you just check the
Just ask.
Hey, Bill, to the young people, oh, you're not there. Do the young people in the room look quizzical?
He's like, what the hell are you guys talking about?
They don't care.
He doesn't know. He
He
doesn't know.
doesn't know.
It's okay. It's an old person
Yeah, you
thing.
probably pull it up on YouTube or something.
Yeah, car 54.
So what are we buying now, Chief? What's a new vehicle? Is it
So
an
it's a Ford Explorer base, police interceptor. So, and they've done a really good job. They're all-wheel drive. They're just everything they put into them is state of the art. So I feel like they're safer. They're even more safer than the sedan version. And we'll be left with only 52 on the road, which is the only sedan that we'll have. So they'll all be the Explorer base, and then we have the truck, which is our only four-wheel drive vehicle, and that gets used every day, pretty much. And that also has been a good asset for us, truck. So
And the SUVs fit all size occupants, which is nice.
Yeah. So
good.
Some of the bigger guys struggled in the sedans.
Yes.
A couple of them were very big.
Yeah, the bigger officers we're not liking the sedans too much.
No.
I know one officer in particular that I've never seen him in a sedan.
So, it may be coincidence, but in the truck is McKinney and Gorman. Those are the two guys that share the truck. So those are the guys that drive the truck. So
good.
So
okay.
Don't put it down on the SIP. We got the body cameras we went over. You had the CLIA accreditation. We went over. Except the cost on that, I have an attachment in the CLIA that gives you the 1 year option, and single payment versus 3 year option, and I just put away $4,000 for the 3 year option. So I don't know if you can see that in that.
Who do we pay that?
So that would go to the Commission on Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies. They're in Virginia.
Okay.
So they're the ones who review all your policies, and now everything's done through the software that we use for policy and Power DMS, which is a document management system. And then they send on-site assessors when you're ready for your on-site, and they could be from anywhere in the country. Usually two officers, ranking officers from other departments.
They should be able to see that now.
Yeah. Okay. So we're in the we're right on the cusp of 1 to 24 officers, or 25 to 199. So we asked for the $4,000 to start the thinking, basically to start a reserve fund to be able to accomplish this by 2025. So and then this wouldn't just be, again, this is going to be an ongoing heavy lift type of project for us in the department, but that's who you pay, and you pay CALIA, and those are the parameters, those are the fees.
Wow. Is that a for-profit company? Is it a government agency or something else?
They're not a government agency, I know that. They are a accrediting body. So whether they're a for-profit, I don't know, they've been around, obviously, I've been around for 33 years in law enforcement, they've predated me, the state
Oh, wow.
police
Okay.
were first accredited in 1987, and I came on in 1988, so.
Okay.
And it's changed a lot over the years, the requirements, for sure.
Yeah.
But, so you sign a contract with them, you pay them, and then the clock starts ticking. You do a self-assessment, so they tell you, you need this policy, this policy, this policy, you create those policies, and you enact those policies, you make sure your officers are trained on those policies, you have them all sign off on those policies, which we do electronically, and then eventually you get to the point where they review all your policies when you have them all, and then they set up your on-site assessment where they come and they test you. And it's a big deal. There's a public comment portion of it. There's a meeting. They usually hold some type of a meeting, and there's a place for the public to comment about whether or not they believe you meet the standards, whether or not they believe you're a good department. And again, you're responsible as an organization to house the assessors, in a hotel, that kind of thing. It's one of those.
A little bit of a racket.
Yeah, and there's, before the accountability bill, there were 20 departments in Connecticut that are CALIA accredited. And now, obviously, everybody's gonna have to move in that direction. There are 90 some odd departments, if you count the state universities, and 95 police departments in the state. So it's only about 20% of them are CALIA accredited now, and obviously the legislature wants everybody CALIA accredited before.
Who's pushing this? Who is pushing this? Everybody, mandate?
Well, this was the police accountability bill from last year.
Yeah.
I'm saying, who is behind it? The legislature probably doesn't know that much about it, but who's pushing it?
Well, the bill was introduced by Senator Winfield from New Haven. He's the chair of the Judiciary Committee as well. And that's where it started. And then it went from, things like body worn cameras that we all agree with and that kind of thing the language, it's 79 pages, am I right?
Yeah.
79 pages. Yeah, so the stuff that obviously that we're all still digesting and dealing with. We've implemented some things. There are timelines on all of it, and some of it was from passage. So I've updated our use of force policy to indicate that chokeholds are not allowed unless deadly force is authorized. Duty to intervene, duty to report, all those things are all in our policy and have been since last June. So, and again, I don't know if we're going to have to change it again, but there was more conversation about use of force today in the Judiciary Committee, so the language is amended slightly, but it's here to stay. So.
Thank you, Chief. Let's move into the expense budget and see if we can run through our questions there. So, good discussion.
Thank you. I'm just going to get my currents out, Bill, so we can because we're really doing quite well budget-wise, despite everything that's going on. So right now, the departments are right on budget. Overtime's a little bit low, a little bit under right now. I've made a few different transfers with Ian's assistance. One place we benefited from was training salary was underspent because of COVID, not being able to. Really, there weren't a lot of places holding training. We actually bought a online platform from Lexipol, which is a risk management company, to get officers through some required training. So I worked with Marsha and Ian to transfer some money from there to help out with the expenses that went along with hiring and equipping officers Chronister and Krajewski, our new recruits. So that we did all that within budget. I asked Marsha whether or not she thought I should have, should I come forward with a a special appropriation. She said, let's look around and see what we got here, and we were able to make those changes, so.
Great.
That's all within budget. Overall, the department's 67.6% expended right now, and we're right on target. So, we are over on, holiday pay because Sergeant Ravenel's retirement, I think, was a huge factor in that, carrying, 40 holidays on the books and then paying them all at once. Along with whatever other, holidays that officers ask for pay for.
Yep.
So we're $18,000 in the hole there, but, we have some room in some other places. So, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be able to, balance by the end of the fiscal year. So specifically, overtime, again, working with the mayor, I proposed 360, he went to 345, I'm comfortable with that number, I think we can do it. And then, again, the lieutenant's salary is in there, he goes to 95,000, and that, that might, move a little bit if the, what I proposed initially in the first conversation gets approved or gets some consideration. For DUI grant, we reduced from 18 to 10,000 because we weren't using it because of our staffing level, and now it's more recently started to move up again. So, and we did get a grant, and we just started to put officers out on the road again with that. So I'm confident that we can balance this year and probably not spend more than 10 next year. Good. Everything else stays the same. OT outside assignment stays the same. Stipends I put based on usage. Again, this is meals. Same type of deal what Andrea asked about with dispatchers. It's if they go over their shift and work 12 hours, they get the $15.
Okay.
So looking at usage there is the reason for the increase. Let's see. Yeah, we're at 8. I'm sorry.
How about repairs and maintenance?
Okay, so repairs and maintenance is the building, and then equipment maintenance is the vehicles. Okay. So repairs and maintenance, I think I might have borrowed a few $100 from there. I did. We first priced radar sets. They were $2,100 a piece, but the ones that we ordered were $2,400 a piece. So I needed $600 to buy the 2 radar sets that we had ordered in new equipment. I made that transfer there, and so we've also used repairs and maintenance for we use it for deep cleaning of the building, if you will. So if there's carpets, tile grout, that kind of stuff that's not on the normal, maintenance schedule for Diana, when she cleans, steam carpets, burnished floors, wax and burnished floors, that kind of stuff, that comes out of repairs and maintenance along with anything else that's equipment related. So.
Okay. So that's low, or it was low as of December.
All right, let me see where we're at right now.
93%, including encumbrances, which is very minimal.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So we did pay for a deep cleaning of the building, I know, within the past month. So that's probably why.
Yeah.
I was showing.
How about telephone and fax? That's low too, or it was.
Yeah, so telephone and fax right now is basically just the cell phones that the department uses, and mostly everything else comes out of dispatch. So just look at where we're at right now on that. We're fully encumbered there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 3,000 and we're fully encumbered. So we're at 100% with the encumbrance of 1644, 66 is encumbered right now.
So then why the reduction for next year?
The LT, let me just get to my right page here.
If you look historically, it's never really met the 3,000 mark, so I'm guessing that that was just in an effort to reduce where they could.
Let me just see, I don't know if that came from the mayor or from me. I know Kenny got us a little better deal, with Verizon. But I'm just in between two documents here.
So in.
Yeah, so that's what it was. It was the lieutenant, working with Verizon, got us a little better, package, if you will, for, unlimited data, that type of thing. So that's the reason for the reduction.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Let's see.
We had Regina add $10,000 to her capital account for a computer replacement over there. So she's gonna start adding $10,000 on an annual basis, because given that the facility's going on 5 years old, we're gonna have to start thinking about those types of things.
You want me to keep running down the list, Bill, or was there anything specific? We did add a computer to NetMotion, so if you see mobile data services up just a little bit, that's for an additional license that we brought an additional computer, mobile data computer on board.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry, my cell phone died along with everything
Oh,
else.
that's okay.
Oh my gosh, Bill.
I was wondering, somebody just came into the meeting.
I was gonna say that. I heard it too, and we were checking already. Great day, huh, Bill?
Technology's testing Bill to the nth degree.
Well, I'm on like guard now, because
I
like
know.
Roxanne's not here, so if something does happen, I have to jump up and shut it down. What was that?
I heard it too, and he was already clicking away, checking it out.
I saw the 860, so I was like, okay. And the 572 is like, okay, so it's somebody in town.
No.
This bum. So what, I'm sorry, what's mobile data service?
So mobile data service, we added another license for NetMotion, worked with Regina and Justin to get our one of our latest cars, car 50 was not connected.
Okay.
So we had to add another license, and so that was the additional expense there.
Yep, okay.
How
about operating expense? That was low, probably not now.
No, it's we're at 93 maybe. I'm sorry, we're operating is 97.2 expended.
Wow.
So again, why, I mean, it's a slight reduction, but what, why are we accounting for that?
I just want to see what I did, if I made any additions there. Yeah, so it started at $16,150, and I added $2,000 to it, and right now we're still 97% expended. So some of the things that
Okay.
some of the bigger tickets that come out of that are printer ink and DVDs. We burn a lot of DVDs. The court now wants basically all of our video from cars and our in-house and stuff like that. So those are some of the supply things that are a little more expensive every once in a while. So I had to beef that up. The water is the same, basically. That's the water at the water service to the building from WPCA. Diesel and gas, that number was Steve's estimate. I always talk to Steve about how the prices are going, we see what they're doing, so he said, you know, push it up 33%, and start at 50. Uniforms, I had to add $6,000 again for the 2 recruits, but we, took that from training salary. So that's pretty much, that should be level funded at 36.
Okay.
Other supplies is ammunition, ammunition targets and stuff like that. That's the, used to call non-instructional supplies. So that's the account we buy our ammunition from. Sometimes some small weapon parts, but nothing significant. And I had to add $4,000 to that for, again, ammunition for the academy, which is frangible. So it's expensive. So what the recruits need for qualification is frangible ammunition. It basically disintegrates. We don't buy a lot of frangible ammunition unless we have somebody in the academy. So that's why I had to add the $4,000 there, so we could continue to buy other ammunition along with that frangible as a special expense. The new equipment again is just the purchase of a replacement radar set, because some of them are long in the tooth. So we've started to cycle those through. This year we put two new ones in. I'm just asking for one new one for next year to replace the oldest one. So that's the new equipment expenditure. The line item for my professional development stays the same. And then I did ask for the canine program, $1,000 to reinstate the canine program. Let's start with that. Thank you, Mayor.
Still on, No, I think he's still there. You can hear it's like a little fuzziness because he's on the phone.
I'm thinking, so it looks like it was requested, but in the version I have, it was not recommended by the mayor.
What's that? On ClearGov, it is also not in the mayor. The
Okay.
canine upkeep.
Okay, I'm looking at the munis.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No dollar.
Okay, I mean, that is one that I was hoping to reinstate and have been for a few years now. I know, obviously, probably saw that Lambo just passed away. It was the last canine that we retired in 2016.
Yep.
And it's just, we have new young officers who are looking for engagement, you know what I mean, a mission, a specialty and that kind of thing. And I have some really good people, good young people that I would like to, again, start with one dog. And there were times in the past where Ledyard had 2 and 3 dogs, way back. Now, we haven't had one since 2016, and now I do believe that we have the people that would do a great job with a canine. So, again, the search and rescue benefit alone, well, finding people, I could go on and on about what I've seen from police canines and what I've been on tracks with. It's something I'd like to see us reinstate here, but. And I think that's the end of the line, is it? Or
It is, yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Chief. Answered all my questions.
I'm sorry I ran over.
No, that's all right. I didn't even have to ask half of them. Right, Andra?
That's right.
In closing, I don't show up at finance a lot, asking for stuff, but the restructure of the department, I think, is the most important thing I could get accomplished. I really do. Adding that one split in command would do wonders for us as it relates to reduction in liability, enhanced service, which I know we already do a good job. I mean, I'm not. I think that more direct supervision at that level would benefit us in the off hours tremendously. So, and then, not to mention the accreditation project that's in front of us. I'm gonna need Kenny, and all his horsepower to get that done.
I hear that, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else, Sandra?
I don't think so, Chief.
Thank you. Thanks for the backup, Ian. Appreciate it.
I try and help everybody that comes in and out of here.
Yeah. Great job.
Well, it's tough because Marcia gets the number in there in December, but, you know, it's now a month later.
That's what I was thinking, you know, it's tough. So.
I know, it is. It is always tough to bring on a new system, and it'll be, and a lot of this information is going to carry forward too. So to build it for next year, I think it'll be easier. We're going to add more information. There are a lot of fields in there that can be helpful for the public that will continue to fill out. So it should be good.
Should I zip that Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah, if you
The
could
live
send that over
version?
to Marcia, the copy machine down here only scans for the people that work
Oh,
down
okay,
here.
all right.
So
I'll
I
just-
can't scan it to Marcia from down here.
You don't have a flash drive with you, right?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't either. Otherwise, we get.
Right now, yes, please for the last.
Okay.
Roxanne might be able to.
I'll just,
That's all right.
then that way you can work with it. You can work with it. You can work with
Not a copy of a copy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. See you, Chief.
Bye, Andrew.
Thanks,
Thank
Chief.
you,
Have a
Chief.
good one.
Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you, Bill. Thanks, Mary.
Have a good
Thanks,
afternoon.
Roxanne.